have you ever wondered why a woman says she's thinking of leaving you? It's a situation that can leave you perplexed and searching for answers. The key lies in understanding the subtle signals and the nuances of communication within a relationship. Often, these signals are not as blunt or straightforward as we might imagine. Instead, they're woven into the fabric of our daily interactions, waiting to be deciphered. So, we return to our initial question. What does it mean when she says she's going to leave you? Let's dive into the story of John and Mary, a couple who seemed to have it all. John and Mary were your quintessential couple next door. They were high school sweethearts who tied the knot soon after college, and their relationship was the stuff of fairy tales. They had successful careers, lovely children, and a beautiful home, yet behind the picture-perfect facade, there was an undercurrent of dissatisfaction brewing. Mary was a vibrant, ambitious woman with a zest for life. She loved her family, but she also yearned for more. She longed for intellectual stimulation, for a sense of individual identity separate from being a wife and a mother. Over time, she began to feel a sense of disconnect, an emotional vacuum that she couldn't quite fill. At the same time, John was busy juggling his demanding job and his role as a father. He was a doting husband and loved Mary with all his heart, but in the whirlwind of his daily routine, he missed the subtle signs of Mary's growing discontent. He failed to recognize the quiet desperation behind her laughter, the longing in her eyes, and the unspoken words that lingered in their conversations. Mary, on her part, tried to communicate her feelings to John. She dropped subtle hints about her yearning for more in life. She would talk about her dreams, her passions, and her desire to pursue them. But John, preoccupied with work and family, failed to grasp the gravity of her words. He dismissed her concerns, assuming they were just passing whims and fancies. But these weren't just whims. They were Mary's earnest attempts to voice her dissatisfaction, her plea for understanding and emotional support. Each time her concerns were dismissed, she felt unheard, unappreciated, and increasingly isolated. And as the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the distance between them grew wider. The spark that once ignited their relationship began to flicker and fade. John, oblivious to the brewing storm, continued to live in his bubble of blissful ignorance. He was so engrossed in maintaining the status quo that he failed to realize the change in Mary's demeanor, the less frequent laughter, the forced smiles, and the increasing silences. The woman he loved was slowly drifting away, and he remained unaware. And then one day, Mary mustered the courage to voice her feelings. She told John about her unhappiness, her need for more, her longing to be heard. She said she was thinking of leaving. John was taken aback. He couldn't fathom the idea of Mary wanting to leave. He had missed the signs, the hints, the silent pleas for help. He had failed to see the storm until it was upon them. And one day, Mary finally said the words that John never thought he would hear. So how could John have known what was coming? Could he have prevented it? Let's delve into that. In every relationship, the ability to recognize signals is paramount. These signals, often subtle, are the undercurrents that shape the course of a relationship. They are the whispers before the storm, the silence that speaks volumes. They are not always direct statements like, "I'm going to leave you." Instead, they are the subtle shifts in behavior, the unspoken words, and the changes in routine that signal a shift in the relationship's dynamic. Think of it as a dance. Each partner moves and reacts, guided by the rhythm of their shared experiences. The dance is smooth when both partners understand each other's steps, but when one starts to falter, the dance becomes disjointed. These missteps, these changes in rhythm, are the signals we need to be aware of. For instance, a partner who used to share their day's experiences may suddenly become reticent, or someone who once reveled in your shared interests might start to lose enthusiasm. It could be as subtle as a change in the tone of voice or as significant as a shift in long-held beliefs. These signals are often overlooked, dismissed as mood swings or temporary phases, but they are the silent alarms that need your attention. Recognizing these signals requires attentiveness, empathy, and a willingness to understand. It requires the courage to ask the difficult questions and the patience to listen to the answers. It's about reading between the lines, seeing what's not being shown, and hearing what's not being said. But understanding these signals is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in responding to them appropriately. It's about initiating a conversation, expressing your concerns, and working together towards a solution. It's about navigating through the storm hand in hand with love and respect. Understanding these signals could mean the difference between a relationship's end and its recovery. So let's not wait for the storm to hit. Let's learn to recognize the whispers, listen to the silence, and dance in harmony with our partners. Because every relationship is worth fighting for. But recognizing the signals is only half the battle. Imagine you're in a maze. You're trying to find your way out and you've been given a map. The map shows you where the traps are, where the dead ends lie, but it doesn't tell you the path to take. In essence, that's what recognizing the signals in a relationship is like. You see the problems, you see the warning signs, but you don't see the path to resolution. And that's where communication comes in. Think back to John and Mary. John saw the signs, but he didn't know how to navigate through them. If only he had stopped, taken a deep breath, and engaged Mary in an open and honest conversation about her feelings and concerns. If only he had asked, "Mary, I've noticed you're unhappy. Can we talk about it?" He could have created a safe space for Mary to express her worries, a space where she felt heard, understood, and valued, a space where she could share her thoughts without fear of judgment or rejection, a space where they could work together to find a solution to their problems. In a relationship, it's easy to get caught up in our own feelings and thoughts. It's easy to assume we know what our partner is thinking or feeling, but the truth is, we can't read minds. We can't know what's going on in someone else's head unless they tell us, and they won't tell us unless we create that safe space for them to do so. Communication is like a bridge that connects two islands. Without it, the islands are isolated, cut off from each other. But with it, they are connected. They can share resources, ideas, and help each other out. They can work together to overcome any challenges that come their way. So, the next time you see the signals, don't just recognize them, act on them. Engage your partner in a conversation. Ask them about their feelings and concerns. Create a safe space for them to express themselves. Remember, a relationship is a partnership. It's about working together to navigate through the maze of life. Communication, it seems, is the key to preventing such a scenario. So, what have we learned from John and Mary's story? Well, we've taken a deep dive into the sometimes murky waters of relationship dynamics and unearthed some vital insights. It's been a journey, hasn't it? Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered. Our first revelation was about understanding the signals. Just like in John and Mary's story, the signs of distress in a relationship can often be subtle, sometimes even disguised as something else. We learned that when she says she's going to leave you, it may not be a direct statement of intent, but rather an expression of deep-seated frustration or dissatisfaction. It's a cry for help, a plea for understanding, a call to action, if you will. We also learned that these signals are not always easy to interpret. They're not black and white, and they require a certain level of emotional intelligence to decipher. It's about being attuned to your partner's feelings, being sensitive to their needs, and being willing to dig beneath the surface to understand what's really going on. The second major takeaway from our exploration was the importance of communication. Open, honest, and empathetic communication is the bedrock of any healthy relationship. It's what allows us to express our needs, air our grievances, and navigate the inevitable conflicts that arise in a partnership. In John and Mary's story, we saw how a breakdown in communication can lead to misunderstandings and hurt feelings. We saw how the absence of open dialogue can create a chasm between two people who once felt close and connected. And we saw how a simple conversation can be the first step towards bridging that gap. So, in essence, when she says she's going to leave you, it's not always about the end of the relationship. Rather, it's a reflection of her emotional state, her unmet needs, her unexpressed frustrations. It's an invitation to engage, to communicate, to understand, and to make changes where necessary. And it's crucial to remember that it's not just about listening to her words, but also understanding her feelings, her fears, and her desires. It's about being present, being supportive, and being willing to work together to find a solution. Remember, when she says she's going to leave you, it's not always a definitive end. It might just be a desperate call for change. So let's take these lessons from John and Mary's story and use them to foster healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about staying together, it's about growing together.